Hi Flosstube, how are you today? Hope everything is good. Today's Sunday, July 5th, 2020. I hope you all had a good 4th of July. It sounded like World War III was starting here last night until about midnight. And then it finally quieted down. People here, this is the first 4th of July in my new house, and people here clearly like their big booms. Which is fine. I don't have anxiety or issues with that, except for that it was all around. At one point before it was dark, I looked outside and there was just a haze of firework smoke outside. So it was a lot, but that's okay. Made it through. No emergencies, no catastrophes that I can tell. So moving on. It's been a few weeks since I filmed the Flosstube. June was an okay stitching month for me. I didn't stitch. There was a couple weeks that I just didn't stitch much at all. I don't really know why. I just wasn't kind of in that groove. I think it was because I had gotten to the beating point on my Mermaid, which I'll show you here in a bit, and got a little burned out on the big beads, which we'll talk about then. But other than that, June was a fine month. It was basically the 4th month of work from home, and pretty much did a lot of the same things. Stayed at home, did yard work, and that was about it. My parents did come for last weekend. It was my birthday, and so we decided that we'd all been safe and we've all been doing the same thing. So they ended up coming for the weekend, which was really nice. I had a dad honey-do list of piddly little things that I just needed help with. And so kind of piddled around, had a little driveway get together with a couple of mutual friends who came up Saturday night. We had driveway cake, but and sat several feet apart from each other, and it was good. It was a good weekend. It was a good visit. So other than that, not a lot going on. Like I said, still working from home. By all accounts, we'll be working from home for the rest of the year, probably, at least. The cases out here in Washington State are starting to go back up. Like a lot of the places, not near as bad as some of the states. We had fairly well flattened the curve. Excuse me. But it's, like everything else. People, I think, are tired. People are antsy. It's summertime. And they're ready to get back to normal, which is unfortunate, because I think it's going to cause some problems for us down the road. But I can only control myself, and for myself, I am bivouacked in my house for the foreseeable future, which is fine. Other than that, let's get on to stitchy stuff, shall we? All right, so for the longest time, I haven't had any haul because if you'll remember, I was forbidden by both my mother and my best friend Melissa from buying anything because my birthday was coming up. So I got birthday haul is what I got. So I have really good friends who indulge in my stitching habit. Most of them are stitchers themselves, so it's easy, right? So my mom bought me Princess Eliana, which had been on my list of things, and she bought me the bead pack as well. So she bought me the bead pack and the chart. I did not need fabric because I am going to actually stitch her on a piece of Brandy's fabric, Nova. It was the February stamp of the month, or stamp of the month. I'm a paper crafter too. It was the February fabric of the month. So I'm going to stitch her on that, which is very kind of close to, she's stitched on a purpley type of linen. So this is just probably got a little bit more blue plus pinks in it, which is fine. So anyway, that was my mom. That was a really great gift. I've been wanting that chart. So my friend Jill got me a piece of brandy fabric. She, thanks to Melissa, Stitcher Mel, and myself, she has gotten turned on to brandy. And so she's been buying fabric during Friday Night Fight Night. She got me a piece of 36 count autumn, which is gorgeous. So thank you, Miss Jill. I will love that. I'll find something to stitch on that. My friend Sandy, she donated to my framing stash for my temperature tree, which I'll show you that here in a little bit. So I appreciate that, because that is one piece that I probably will have professionally framed, just because I want it to be done right. So she donated to that cause, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And then last, Melissa, Stitcher Mel, she sent me a bunch of stuff off my list. I am going to stitch by Country Cottage Needleworks Snow Village. And I have the fabric and I have all the fibers. And I had the first 3 charts, but I did not have the next 6 charts. So she got me the next 6 charts for Snow Village, which are lovely. And I'm excited about that. And then she also got me Trick or Treat by Perry Schooler and the Called For fabric. And then the DMCs, there's a couple missing. They didn't have them in stock, but that's okay. So anyway, so it was a good Stitchy Haul birthday for me. And now I am technically not grounded for making purchases. So we'll see what I do. There is a few things I want, but with as much stitching stuff as I have, I really shouldn't, nor do I need to actually be buying more. So we'll see. Stitch for Stash update. I didn't finish anything in June, so I'm still at a negative balance, but I'm pretty close on my Mermaid. So maybe I'll get in gear and finish her this month. We'll see. The only real finish that I had this month, which wasn't actual stitching related, was that one of the things that I have been doing is I've been inventorying my DMC. I have DMC everywhere, in kitted projects, in Ziplocs by number, bobbinated, and I didn't really know what I had. I knew that I was close to a full set, because at one time I did have a full set, but I didn't know exactly where I was. And I had been kind of poking around at it for a few weeks, kind of going through the bags, and I'm a spreadsheet girl, so I have a spreadsheet. And I was talking to Katie Stitches on Instagram, and she had gone to Joann's this weekend and finished her full set, or came close to it. And so I was like, okay, I'm really close. So yesterday I sat down and finished the process of going through my DMC. And the way that I do mine is I bobbinate. And so I bobbinate what I have, it's not in a kit or whatever. So I've got, I don't know, quite a bit of DMCs bobbinated. These are threads that don't need to be in a kit right now, or, I'm not using right now. My grand total of DMC threads stands at 1,031. And that leaves me still 20 threads short of a full set, 20 colors short of a full set, ironically. So I don't know that I'm going to necessarily go out and buy those 20 colors just to have them. If I need them, I'll buy them probably, but I'm pretty dang close to a full set. Most of my threads, over half of my threads, ironically, are in kitted projects, which just proves that I duplicate ridiculously amount. So my goal is to try to stop doing that. On my spreadsheet, I also track where they're kitted at. So I know that I have three 3371s, for example, and I know what kits they're in, or I know if it's in my bobbin case. So anyway, so I did complete that project thanks to the last little push from Katie. And then I was thoroughly disgusted by how many threads I had. And that doesn't include fancy floss. Although I'm not a collector of fancy floss, I do buy fancy floss for when I need them for projects, and then I have leftovers. But I'm not in any, I don't do any thread of the month club or anything. I kind of learned my lesson with that. I had collected all of a particular brand of floss, and then that floss maker went out of business or retired. And then I had one skein of everything, which when you're stitching bigger projects really doesn't work. So I am, as far as the more expensive fancy floss, I'm just keeping it to what I need when I need it. And then I'll have extras and I'll fill in, you know, substitute if I want, where I want. So anyway, I did have, this is an FFO that you've already seen, except for that I haven't showed you on the actual frame. So I got July done and finished on that red mat board, but then it's July, so it's on my display board now. So I love it. It's pretty. So I just want to show that since it's July. And then there was a few boxes that I had yet to unpack, and they were mostly pictures and artwork that I had not put up yet. And for the most part, I haven't put a ton of stuff up. But I found this. Excuse me. And this is something that I had stitched for my grandmother several years ago. I don't remember, 2012. I stitched it in 2012. And so, and I gave it to her. And the way that I always stitched for my grandmother, I think I've probably talked about it before, is I usually just gave her the stitched finishes. I never finished them because she would always take them and have them professionally framed. And I could not afford to frame all of the pieces, especially the way she liked to frame them, because she usually double and triple matted things, and which is great. But I couldn't afford that. So I would give her the stitched finishes. She would take them and get them framed. And it worked out for both of us. So this particular one is the same situation. It is Moonlit Garden by Blackbird Designs. Yeah, it's a little glare from the window, but hopefully you can see that. Anyway, so when she passed away a few years ago, I ended up back with it. And I love it. Came back across this. I don't know where I'm going to hang it, but it's going to go somewhere. All of the threads are called for. I did all the called for threads. And the fabric, I don't know if I tracked that or not. And then garden, 28 count antique copper jobelin. So I don't know if that was a called for or not, but it's what I stitched on. But I love that. I love the variegation. Ugh. Anyway, so I came back across that, and I was happy that I did because I really love that piece. So that'll get hung up somewhere in my house. And yeah. So whips, what have I been working on? Well, the biggest thing that I worked on was Mermaid, Mediterranean Mermaid by Mirabilia. I finished all the stitching on her in the earlier part of June, and thought, oh, I can finish her in June. And then I started the beading process, and I started with the big beads here, and they're so packed in tight. And then I thought, gosh, I stitched her on 32 count. Should I have stitched her on 28 count? Maybe they fit better. No, she was called for 32. So they're just super, super tight up in her hair area, which I'll show you here. She's on 32 count Shimmering Pool by Stephanie, Fabrics by Stephanie. So I got all of the stitching done. And then I started the beading up top. And the bigger beads are, the white ones I think are 8s, the blue ones are 6s, and the blue ones in her hair, the 6s are really, really just tight together. So anyway, I have a lot of beading left to do on her. And hopefully I will get motivated to do that because she's so close to being finished and I love her. She will probably hang this way when I'm done. That's what I'm thinking. Hang her that way. So we'll see. Anyway, so I'm pretty close to a finish if you don't count the 18 hours of beading that probably is left to go with her. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully I'll get motivated to do that. And then the other thing that I did get caught up with is I got caught up with my temperature tree. I finished all the branches. I had a start on all of the branches, but October, November, December, and January were only about half done. So I finished those. And then I finished the temperatures in June. So completely caught up with that. And I love the way this is looking. So anyway, this is on 32 count platinum Lugana. So I was hoping to keep up on the temperatures more like on a week-to-week basis, but it's more like I'm keeping up on a month-to-month basis, which is fine. It just takes a little bit more time. So, yeah. All right. So moving forward, what plans do I have? Well, I'm taking part in the haunting of semi-sane stitchers. And to that end, the goal is to start on a Halloween piece in July and have it completed by December 15th. So I am going to be doing Lizzie Kate's Boo Club charts. There's 12 of them because each one has 2. And I'm going to be doing it on this banding, on this 24 count banding. I got to start on, whoops, backwards. No, I don't know if you can hear it, but the fireworks going off again. So that's awesome. Sunday morning at 9:30. So I got a little bit of a start on it. And that border is going to go all the way around on 4 sides. So that was my start, and it's the start that's part of the charts. But yeah, that's going to be the border all the way around, all the way down to the bottom, and then the charts will be in the middle. So I'm really excited about this one. I've had these charts for a while. I saw this finished. This was finished this way at Acorns and Threads, and they had the banding at that point still. I don't know if they do or not still, but anyway. So I loved the way that it was finished, kind of into a bell pull. So I am going to hopefully have that done by the end of the year, and that would be fantastic. So that's a new start for July, and hopefully I'll keep motivated to keep working on that. Okay, I'm also going to get caught up on my linens and threads. I did not stitch on this in June at all, so I'm still only through May. This is on 36 count winter moon. So I have June to go, which is 3 little motifs down here. And then there's, for July, there's 2 motifs up in here. So I am going to plan on working on this and getting this caught up for the 2 months. And I also would like to work on knee high. Okay, and that's the fabric I'm doing it on, 28 count Ale Lugana. But this is where I'm at. So not much of a start, but that's okay. And I keep saying that I want to be done with this pattern, and I do. ABC Halloween by Lizzie Kate. And I'm about halfway done. So maybe a little bit more than halfway done. So I just need to finish that up. I'm doing this on 30 count vintage Mocha, country vintage country Mocha. Yeah. And then the last thing, if I feel like I need some smalls to work on, I need to finish my Lizzie Kate little bits. I still have October, November, December, and September to do. So I still have 4 of those. And the nice thing about these though is that if I just sit down and do these, I can do these in just a couple of nights each. They're pretty fast little stitches. So I really don't have much more than a week worth of stitching to get 4 more smalls done, which would be super nice. So, so we'll see. We'll see how much stitching I do in June. Or July. I have a couple of weeks of vacation coming where I don't have anything planned. Just downtime. So, which I'm looking forward to that. So, maybe I'll get a lot of stitching done. We'll see. I do have some other crafts that I want to get done during that time. A couple of sewing projects and things, but we'll see. I don't think I'll get all of this done, but hopefully I'll get a start on most of it and make some progress on it. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm still in Magical Stitches, but I haven't been following along with it. I think I've lost my mojo a little bit on trying to make things work as far as the prompts. And I'm feeling like I would rather just stitch on what I want to stitch on right now when I want to stitch on it without having to worry about counting. So that's fine. I go through those modes every once in a while, and that's where I'm at now. I'll probably pick it back up once I'm in a better groove. So anyway, as long as I'm stitching, I'm pretty okay with just not worrying about any of that. So and the nice thing about the semi-sane haunting of semi-sane stitches is that you don't have to count, you just got to stitch. So so that's really my only quote-unquote obligation stitching right now. So other than that, just whatever I'm going to be in the mood for, I think. So it'll probably be closer to the end of July before I post again, before I film again. And so hopefully I'll have quite a bit of progress. I don't think I'm going to work on the beading of my mermaid, at least for the next few weeks. I'll hopefully pick her back up maybe at the end of the month and get her done. So I think I need a break from her for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, other than that, I hope everybody, excuse me, I hope everybody is doing well, staying safe, and having somewhat of a summer. Hopefully the weather's at least good. I know here today it's blue sky. It really makes all the difference in the world for my attitude for sure. So I can imagine that most people probably feel the same way. And other than that, have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time. Happy stitching. Bye.